What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves, physically, emotionally, and spiritually?
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, you know, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago, we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique.
Help other people to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores Cannon has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT. Now you can learn her method by going directly to themoreshow.com/QHHT. And don't forget to mention the discount coupon MORETALKS. Have you ever wondered, can you communicate directly with spirit guides, teachers, or non-physical consciousness, or even our higher selves? What would they tell us? My name is Kevin Moore, and since 2015, I started to practice a form of communication which is termed channeling. I have been interviewing experts on my talk show to find out, does life continue after we die? And can we communicate with those that have crossed over? With each expert I spoke to, they all had different ideas. Is there knowledge from the past which could be shared with the present moment? So I thought, why not just speak to the non-physical world directly through channelers around the world? And that's what I set out to do. They Call Us Channelers will take the viewers on a journey into the phenomena known as channeling. And my main goal with this docuseries is to bring a new understanding and awareness to channeling by looking within ourselves and asking, is it truly possible that we can all use this innate ability?
My name's Réné Gaudette. I'm the deep trance channeler for the Wonders. I've been doing it for almost 30 years now. And basically, I allow them to come through. They are the highest consciousness available that I could ever channel, and allow them to come through to help humanity. And the reason that I do that is because there was a need for I was basically guided to explore the possibility of helping humanity. They asked me to do it. I allowed them to do it. It's as simple as that. Can anybody else channel the Wonders? No. They've made it very clear that I am the only source, so that way there can be no misinterpretation between the individual and the channeled message. And so and we have, over the years, we've accumulated a vast library of almost 10,000 recordings for anybody who can, to access. So it's on our website, thewonders.com or store.thewonders.com. And please go help yourselves. It's all about trying to help.
Absolutely it is. So you've been on before. We're going to link your previous interview in the description below. Okay. And I thank you for coming on now. We had a bit of an off-air conversation just now where you reminded me that actually you don't always do a lot of interviews. Very few.
Actually, I don't do any as much as I can. So you're the only one that I've actually sat there. And, when I first started, we did a couple of late night shows, radio talk shows. But no, I don't. I am just a conduit. I'm just a person who is capable of setting himself aside and allowing the Wonders to come through. So, yes, I do work with people. Yes, I coach them. I consult with people, that kind of stuff. But that's me. The actual channeling, no, that's just, I'm just the guy that allows them to come through. And it's great that they get to talk to humanity.
That's interesting. So how much of your time right now would you say is taken up with channeling with clients compared to just, Renny, you as a conscious person?
Most, up until a year ago, virtually all of my time was taken up with channeling. In the last year, I've come to realize I need some time for myself, and I need to heal myself because I was getting tired of doing repetitive stuff. And so I decided I wanted some time for myself. I've taken basically a hiatus, if you want to call it that. I work for a month and take off for a month at this point. And I go on vacation. And my vacation for me is mostly meditation, self-reflection, moving myself to becoming the person that I want to be. And I use the guidance with the wonders to do all of that as well. I am fortunate enough that fortunately or unfortunately, I have them in my head all the time. So, I can't get away with anything.
No. No, I get that. I get it. And I appreciate you coming on as well to do this. So, okay. Yeah. Very interesting that they're obviously, they're knocking at the door sometimes. Do you feel that they're knocking at the door? They want to come through?
No, I'm at the stage where I just allow. Okay. It's like inside of me, there's a symbiotic relationship, if you want to call it that. We're always communicating. Okay. And it's not a separation. We live in a world where everybody's separate from each other. So the idea of symbiotic relationship means one person is here, the other person is there, and they work together. Or, like we have with, diseases that are symbiotic with the human body. Okay. They need the body to survive, that kind of stuff. The relationship I have with the wonders is that the more I've done them, the more I have channeled over the years, the less separation there is between them and me. And the net result is that I could be talking to you right now and they would be guiding me to say what I say. I could also just as easily close my eyes and let them come through. I could go into a formal process that we use when I record the sessions. The other one being more informal. But I find that when I just let go with them, I go into that formal process, there's a certain way they present themselves that's better for humanity. So I let that happen. But the rest of the time is me. So as, I don't know how to answer your question as to how much time do I spend. Think of it as I live it. There's no separation, They are me, I am them. This isn't a job. This is like a way of life.
I get that. And I think it's very difficult for genuine people that actually have the ability to, take it on. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? I can imagine you went through quite a bit of, issues. You went just trying to go public with this personally.
Well, no, because when it happened, when the whole thing began, how can I explain this? Okay, it's a long story. Are you ready for this?
Let me ask you this then, or let's just go back for the audience a bit as well. In the late 80s, you had a near-death experience, okay? So
Yes.
the near-death experience was the trigger to, I believe, to the wonders coming through. So just go through that, near-death experience and just
Okay.
what happened there.
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
Yes and no. Okay. First, let's go back. When I was very, very young, 3 years old, I had them in me. They were there. I remember as a 3-year-old talking to my mother and telling her what was wrong with her. And she immediately took me to see a psychiatrist thinking that I was possessed or crazy, whatever. Over the years, I stopped all of that awareness and literally became just like a normal person living a normal life, going to school, getting a job, getting married and all that shit. Okay. Eventually I got divorced because it's not what I wanted. And after I left my wife, I was on a snowmobile one day, and with a bunch of friends, we were up in northern Quebec, and I got hit by a truck. It was an accident. I flew 75 feet up in the air and landed on the pavement very well. Broke everything in my left side. They took me to the hospital. I died twice on the operating table, or so I'm told. Okay. I don't have the memories of people who die. They see the tunnel, they see the light, I don't have any of that. What I do remember is when I came to, is I remembered seeing myself on the table. And then I had a sense inside of me that my whole life was going to change from that moment on. I was completely different. So literally, I cut everything off in my life. Like I said, that's it. What I was doing is not enough. I have to get off my ass and start doing what I was meant to be here to do. And about, I guess it was just before that, I had gone to see a deep trance channeler. A friend of mine wanted me. I was depressed. I had left my wife for a girlfriend. Girlfriend left me. I was depressed. My friend said, you got to go see a psychic. And I said, no, I don't want to go see a psychic. But it turned out to be a deep trance channeler. And as soon as that person lay down, I said, I know what I'm here to do. I don't need all my questions answered. I have all the answers I want. And they said, well, you've paid all the money. You might as well ask. So I went through a list of questions that I had, and I said, thank you. Didn't care about the answers whatsoever. And I spent the next number of years trying to let go. After the accident, it was a question of, okay, now I got to get off my butt and really do something with this. And at that point, life took over. I kept on going, but I had a lot of changes. I had that. Then I ended up meeting another girl. And then I had a nervous breakdown. Then eventually I met my second wife. And then at that point, there was this sense inside of me, okay, I got to let go. I got to just do this. So we were sitting in the kitchen and I said, I got to go to the basement. I got to go to my chair. I got to get comfortable. I got to let go. And that's when I did it. And then, of course, the wonders came through. They didn't call themselves the wonders. We called them that. Okay. Because after this was on the second session that we did, I did one and it was just mostly gibberish. And I said to my wife at the time, tell them to slow down. And they did. And they slowed themselves down. They slowed me, they pushed me up. And basically we connected in the middle and they were able to talk through me. And at that point, I had said to her, ask them who they are. And she did. And they said, it doesn't matter what you call us. We know you have a name for us. So when I came out, she said, the name is the wonders. So I said, okay, sounds good. I wonder who they are. And they're wonderful. So why not? Okay. So from there on in, there was that awareness. Okay, I'm calling them the wonders. And that was this essence. And we had asked them who they are, and they gave us a description that was based on somebody else that I'd known as well, more or less. But they said, this is just temporary. This is just to fuel your mind. This is just to satisfy your mind's questions. There was a lot more. Over the years, they expanded the definitions to the point where they now call themselves the all that is. Okay? And they say it very clearly. We are the essence that encompasses all things.
Okay.
So.
No, fascinating, fascinating. I mean, you've been on this for many years, right? You've been doing this for a long time.
The hardest part of this journey has been to let go of all of my judgments. Because when you judge, you start to define. And when you start to define, you want to get a definition, you want to get an idea. So let go of judgment.
How long did that process take for you to let go, though?
Well, to let go is easy. To let go at first. At first, I tried a number of different ways that I had seen other people do, and I had seen a lot of people. I had gone to psychic fairs, seen a lot of channelers. I tried everything. Okay, it wasn't me, and eventually, I just sat there. And when I first started, my hands were together like this, and they were just going a mile a minute. Eventually, they said I was with my current wife, and we were just sitting down with this guy who was interested in, in fact, we did the Origins of Humanity series at that point, and it was during that the Wonders said, take it easy, relax, lie back. We know you don't want to do it. Relax, lie back. And I did that. And they said, take a breath. You don't need to define. You don't need to judge. You don't need to worry. Take a breath and let go. It's that easy. Letting go is that easy. Sorry. So I did. Realized I could. And then my wife said, well, I need to catch up because he's letting go too fast. So we kind of had a process where I would just take one breath and then she could just hit all the equipment to record things. But yeah, and so it's that easy. It happens that quickly. And then as I've progressed over the years and I've let go of my own judgments around myself, around humanity, around how I feel, all the psychologies and belief structures that every human being has, the more I let go of those, the more I'm able to see the oneness between all of existence and myself. And now when I go off on my meditations, I go off into an existence it's like I literally go out into the oneness and explore existence that way.
Is channeling a form of meditation for you as well?
No. Channeling is what I do. Meditation is what I enjoy.
That's an interesting answer. Okay. And I understand that answer as well. I do. And for some people, it's all different, right? We're all on different journeys. And,
of course.
Met a lot of different channelers. Yeah.
I noticed. I noticed on your show.
Since we last spoke, there's been a few that crossed my path. So when the Wonders first came through, you talked about that humanity, or they talked about that humanity was at a crossroads, and that's why they were coming through. Now let's fast forward all these years later. Are we still at that crossroads?
Oh yeah. See, it's anybody who wants to can listen to the Origins of Humanity. That's a series that we've recorded. It talks about humanity going through cycles, 600,000 year cycles, more or less, 400 to 600,000 years, and it talks about us now presently being in this cycle. And why is it a cycle? Because humanity builds itself up and then destroys itself and comes back again and then destroys itself. And there seems to be a movement to self-destruction right now going on in humanity. It's not to say that humanity will destroy itself completely, but let's face it, the possibilities are there. We have nuclear weapons where we could literally destroy everything on the planet. Now, humanity are like cockroaches. We will survive, one way or another. We'll find a way to survive. Some will, most won't. And when you put that kind of thought into your processes, you start realizing that, hang on a second. Why are we doing this? So the idea of the Wonders was to present an alternative, positive, forward-looking idea that humanity can choose differently, but you need to choose. It's not a given that you will destroy yourself, but if you don't choose, you will.
And what is that choosing? What are we choosing? What are we needing to choose for it to go in a different direction?
Love. Look at everything that's going on right now. How many people really spend any amount of time loving themselves first and loving their humanity second? I don't know about you, but I read the news. In fact, I'm at the point now where I very seldom read the news because the news is just one great big drama about hate and fear and judgment. And I can't be bothered with it anymore. I don't know. I'm struggling inside of myself to find the passion to connect to human beings who are constantly trying to destroy each other. And it's difficult. It's difficult to realize that everywhere you look, everybody's trying to get an advantage over everybody else. Everybody's afraid. Everybody wants to, hurt somebody else or kill somebody else or destroy somebody else, all for personal gain, because they're so afraid of who they are. They can't accept themselves without getting something. People are afraid, Kevin. I don't know what it is. It's like they're so afraid of just not being in control, of just allowing themselves to be. They don't know what that means. And so they'd rather control everything and destroy everything than to just allow themselves to be, which is really all they are is love. You know, and I hate to sound like that because it almost sounds like a Beatles song, but you know, it's like, that's what we are. You know, John Lennon had it right.
I understand what you're saying, and I understand why you feel the way you do, you know, what you've just expressed there as well. What would the wonders say, without bringing them through just right now, what would they say to the way that you're feeling about the issues in the world right now? What would be their answer to that?
Just love.
Just love, right? So when you say that people are just not flowing, or they, you know, they want to control and they want to gain.
It's all my judgments. It's all my judgments. I look at humanity and I judge, and I know I judge, and I'm working as diligently as I can to let go of that judgment so that I no longer judge. But let's be realistic. It's, you know, I don't have to judge to be able to observe a movement. Though the wonders would say that's incorrect, because really, in order to observe movement, you have to judge. So there you go.
Right. Absolutely. Exactly. So, yeah, these times that we're in, let's just keep there just for a moment.
All right.
It's so funny what you're saying about the news, because I'm stopping what I'm doing soon, and I think I'm just going to go full time into, you know, doing the news from a spiritual perspective. So what does that mean? That means reporting the news as is, then looking at the deeper karmic reason behind the news, as in why it's happening, right? And using people with gifts, like people like yourselves and many other people, to contribute towards those news segments, right? So why am I doing that? Because I'm done with interviewing, right? And I need something else. And
sure,
this feels, well, to be honest with you, I got to be, before you say anything, to be honest with you, back in 2016, I had a past life regression session, which ended up to be a future progression session, and I got to see what was called the International Spiritual News Network, which is something that I started off in 2023, and I got to, you know, to see this potential. It doesn't have to mean it's going to happen, but it's a potential. But everything just seems to be going down that road. So
that's good.
Yeah, the news from a different perspective.
I'd say whatever you do, just don't forget to include good news segments. Okay, don't look just as the negativity and try to kind of see the karmic results of all of this, but rather include positivity, include the joy that's a lot of people experience. There's so many people on the planet that are experiencing joy, but nobody hears about them. Nobody finds out who they are. And, you know, it's like, it doesn't have to be much. It could be,
well,
you know,
yeah, there's a lot of drama, isn't there, on the news? I mean, you know, and it's made that way. It
seems to be what people are attracted to, because everybody wants to hear that somebody else is worse off than they are.
Maybe just even seeing that deeper karmic reason on what would be a very negative story actually turns out to be a very enlightening part of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm not. Yes, I agree. But I'm saying to you, include, because it's so easy to look at negative stories they're all over the place. No matter what you do, you can't avoid them, because every news thread, every social media thread is filled with negativity. But it would be amazing to actually look beyond that. What the wonders are doing with me, and I'll just take this a little further if you don't mind. What they are doing, by me taking some time now to re-energize myself, to love myself more, what I'm able to do now is actually, like the wonders have said about a year ago, they said, we've talked all there is to talk about with regards to humanity right now. We've said all there is to say. Now, if you want, we can talk to you about how existence is. So a lot of their conversations now are on the deeper meanings of existence. And what I've done for myself is in the channeling, by taking some time for myself, I'm able to, when I do channel, I'm able to encompass that almost oneness awareness so completely that I can see for myself on a very personal level existence and the movement of existence. And I can't explain it any other way. It sounds so trite, that existence, like what is existence? But think of it as going so far beyond anything we could imagine into the undefinable, unimaginable, and yet still contained within, and having no words to express it, but yet can be experienced. And that's basically what I'm working towards.
How about I ask the group that question then? What is...
You're not going to get the wonders. So sorry. I know you were hoping for it, but no. It takes to really let myself go here. I'd have to organize things. I really, I want. I mean, anyone listening to you or your shows or anything like that, if they ever want to listen to the wonders, we subscribe to our newsletter. We always put out some stuff. It's always free. We have an Instagram account. We are out there, but you must find that there has to be a willingness, a passion to uncover more of yourself. If all you're looking for is mind candy, then you're not going to connect with the wonders. We do not, they don't, and I certainly don't supply mind candy. For me, there's a passion for life. Can I talk a bit about myself? Can I just do that right now? What I want for myself is I want to live my life so fully, so passionately, so completely that I don't judge anything. I can experience everything. And then when I see a judgment, I want to let it go so that I can experience that very same thing without that judgment even more. And I want to do all of that before I know my body gives out. So that when it happens, when my body gives out, I will have lived every minute of my life so absolutely, so totally that I have no regrets. And that's how I live right now.
That's interesting. Was you living that way, sort of halfway into when the wonders came through? Is this something new for you?
I was starting to live more and wanting to, but the actual application of it, the desire was there. The application was hit and miss. There were some things that I was doing, some things I wasn't. But over the years, we all think that we can do it instantly. I think so. Anyhow, but unfortunately, my instantly took 20 some odd years. But, in terms of the wonders, it's only an instant.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely it is. Yeah. So, is that a regret for you, do you think? Or are you? No. You think,
I live with no regrets.
Yeah, good. Okay.
I have no regrets, none whatsoever. In fact, I'm quite capable of dying right now. And I would have no regrets. I was actually, before I took this time off, I was actually thinking of letting go and moving on. It was time. But then I realized that, no, I still have more to do, or more that I'd like to explore. So it's not that I had to do, it's that I wanted to explore. So basically, I had spent all this time thinking this is what I have to do, and I had done it. And when the wonders said we're done, I figured, okay, that was it. I didn't need me anymore. And then it's like, oh, but I can enjoy more life. So now I started to live much more intensely. Intensity is just the name of the game here.
Funny thing is, a lot of the channelers, most of them, if there was a common theme in the message right now, it would be live your purpose, live your value fulfillment.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this is a message for we've been talking, the wonders of talking to humanity all along. Is like, What is the purpose of our existence? The purpose of your existence is to experience the experience of existence. Think about that. The experience of existence. Experience that. There are no limits to that. Take that and don't apply any limits, and then you got anything.
Yeah, and what one person's experience wants to be compared to another's without any judgment, right, is what they're here to do.
Yes, but understand that those people, when they talk, they are talking from their judgment. Okay? If every human being was to experience the experience of existence without any fear, judgment, or guilt at all, okay, there wouldn't be humanity. There would only be the all that is, because that is what we are. So it is judgment that defines your experience, different from my experience, different from somebody else's experience. Each channeler has their own experience. Each person has their own experience. We all make choices based on our judgments and our fears. That's how we do it.
What does a life look like that you're judging less of yourself and others? What does that life look like, do you think?
Free. Choosing freely. It's a life of passion, a life of intensity, a life of immediate choice. It's freedom. If you don't have judgment, you're free to explore. You're free to look at this and go, oh, that's it. Or, oh, that's what it is. You can apply judgment if you want, or you can let go of judgment and just experience and feel that whole existence.
Yeah. And it's also the judgment of what we think others will think of us, or other groups. It's not always the judgment we feel on ourselves. Or is that the same thing?
Oh, yeah, because that's just projection. When you think someone else is going to judge you, you're just projecting your own judgments. So, it's everything. This is the thing that humanity doesn't realize. It's easy to point a finger, but the wonders are fond of saying, you point a finger, there's three pointing back at you. So, remember that you are literally, everything starts with us. If you open your heart chakra, you open yourself to truly loving yourself, and work on setting aside all that fear and judgment that says, this is who I am, this is what I have to be, this is how it's going to go, I can't do this, I must do that, whatever. If you set that all aside, all of a sudden you experience a life of passion and intensity and love. And it's beautiful.
Yeah, because some people can sit there, can't they? And I'm the same as well. It's like, where's the next paycheck coming from? How am I gonna?
Yes, but you see, if you're not afraid, it's a long time ago, and I sound like a broken record, or maybe it's a Shrek movie. Anyhow, long time ago, when I first started the channeling, I was going through also my own fears and judgments. And I came face to face with myself as not surviving. Not only just the dying, okay, but long after that, when we first started with doing the wonders, I was broke. I was absolutely broke. I was in debt to the tune of $350,000 in credit card debt. They were chasing me all over. They wanted me to pay up. I was totally done, and I was done with the wonders, and I was screaming and yelling my head at them, and I was just, totally, completely angry. And then all of a sudden I stopped and I went, hang on. I went to bed, woke up in the morning, and I realized that I had assets that I hadn't even tapped into. And I looked at those, and I started using that, and my debts got paid. And how it actually happened was that afternoon, I was ready to call a credit, one of those bankruptcy creditors, bankruptcy guys that help you out through bankruptcy. And I was putting a call. I was literally picking up the phone. And when I did, it dinged, my computer dinged, and there was somebody that wanted a session. And I thought, okay, I'm good for another day. So I went to sleep, and I woke up and I had the solution. I had the awareness that I could keep going. And when that came, I realized I had to work on myself inside of me. So all the fears, literally every fear, even your fear of not being able to survive, you have to face that so completely that you're not afraid of dying, not afraid of not surviving, not afraid of not making it, not afraid of not having a person loving you, whatever.
And sometimes the answer that's coming to you could be, you're doing everything that you're not supposed to be doing, and you got to be brave enough to stop it.
Yes, yeah, like there was a time in my life where I was, I was desperately attracted to any woman who was needy. I had to fix them. Okay. Eventually I understood my need inside of me that needed to be taken care of. So yeah. And don't forget, when I first started, long before I started channeling, I was studying John Bradshaw, the inner child work. I was going into psychics. I'd gone to psychic fairs and talked to every kind of psychic in there, everything from numerology to tarot cards to chicken bones, all kinds of things. Yeah. There was a guy who was doing, reading the chicken bones. My grandmother used to read tea leaves, So, it's like I do all of that, but at the same time, eventually you got to understand that the thing that's stopping you is you, not something outside of you. You. Okay. So it's not the government. It's not the world. It's not Russia or Putin or anybody else. It's you.
That's why I say the number one message, with a lot of people that are tuned in, is value, fulfillment, passion. Well, passion's a big word. So maybe, but what fulfills you? What is it that you really want to do? Yeah, that's what but like you say, there's so much fear. There's the judgment, all these things, but it takes time to clear that shit up, doesn't it? And maybe we've got to go through a few things to get to the point like that you've reached as well. Yeah. It's a process, isn't it? But it doesn't take forever.
It's been close to 30 years.
Yeah. But do you think it could? But you would feel for your own journey that couldn't have been anything else but that.
Well, hindsight is always nice, isn't it? And the hindsight is nothing more than judgment. So we can sit there and say to ourselves, well, if only I'd known then what I know now, that would be so much easier. But at the same time, let's be realistic. Everything happens at the right moment because it's ready. I'm a firm believer that there isn't a thing that happens in the universe that doesn't happen in the right moment because we are ready. The ready now, that depends on our judgments. The more judgments we have, the less ready we are. So what happens is our universe, let's say, is trying to love you. And you take all these judgments and you apply them to yourself because you came in, your mind's created, your ego's created, and you start and the mind, first thing it does is it goes, oh shit, this is a bad world. I got to take care and protect myself. And so the next thing you know, it's like everything you learn is about protecting yourself. And then with all that fear comes judgments, and all that judgment adds one on top of another, and then you have life experiences. So all of that stuff gets piled into your ego, into your mind, into your soul, into yourself, and it defines you. Maybe you end up going to school. Maybe you end up not going to school. Maybe whatever, okay? Before you know it, you've created a life. So now you're 20, 30, 40, 50 years or more into your life. And in the meantime, all that judgment has created stress. So all that stress that's in your life now has started to degrade your body. Aging is just another disease of stress, as far as I'm concerned. So more and more, all that stress, all that resistance, all that fear, all that anger, all that frustration, all of those judgments create stress that eventually our adrenal glands, our body, our physical body can no longer handle. And the more that stress happens, the more that body starts to degrade. So you're 50, 60, or maybe you're 30 and 40, and you're panicking because you want more. You don't know what you want. So you ask all these questions of you, the universe, your friends, you go to therapists, whatever, to find an answer. And when you hear it, you don't want it anymore because it means you got to let go of so many things. Okay? So now you got more stress, add more stress. Before you know it, you're 60 or 70 or 80 and you die. And then you come back trying out all over again, because once again, fresh start, new mind, new ego, and let's try this without stress, without judgment. But the minute that mind's created, bang, you got judgment. Okay?
So I think what you're saying is you got to grab your balls and you've got to be brave and just be really true to yourself.
Well, that would work if you're a guy, but not so good if you're a girl, because I don't think they have balls, but okay.
Metaphorically
you basically
speaking,
have you have to grab yourself into your heart. You have to go into your heart. Your heart, when you open your heart chakra, when all you do is you work at trying opening up that energy conduit that's in your heart chakra. And I know I use chakras, and I know it's an Indian and Ayurvedic different way of describing energy. Be that as it may, once you open that love, that self-love inside of you, however you want to describe it, you are going to have to go through all of those judgments, because all of those judgments has put limitations on your self-love. And in doing that, yeah, it's scary. And yes, you're going to judge more, and you have to stop yourself from judging more. You have to start saying to your mind, stop doing this. You have to take charge of your mind. The self, the you that is you, has to sit there and say to your mind, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I cannot keep doing this, because your mind in its fear will say, do this, do this, do this. You'll survive. It's not you'll survive. It says, I'll survive. The mind always says, I'll survive. Do you ever notice that? The mind never says you'll survive. It says, I'll survive. Well, guess what? At the end of the day, the mind will survive, but the body will die.
Just remind us of your website as well, where people can find you.
Thewonders.com. www.thewonders.com. That's the best way to go.
Yep. Okay. Now, I know we're only here for an hour, but just a couple of more questions. Now, there's a lot of people out there that talk about the raising of our vibration, that we're going through this shift.
Yep.
What would you think of the idea of the raising of vibration and going through this shift? What's your take on it with doing this work for so many years?
Well, I believe humanity has potential. If I didn't, I certainly wouldn't be continuing, okay? But I do believe that the human consciousness, the human existence, the essence of humanity is love, and it has so much desire to express that. On the whole, I find the majority of humans unwilling to do what's necessary to let that come through. They get caught up with the fear, the judgment, and the guilt of their lives. The habitualness of, I got to do this to keep going. I got to do this to keep going. And unfortunately, what I see now going on as a result of the last, 10, 15, 20 years, I see more and more of the fear taking hold. And people are not recognizing that their minds are so fearful that they're listening to this crap that's going on in their heads, thinking that this is reality, this is real. And it's not. And social media, as great a tool as it is also been a tool to feed the minds. Everybody's mind is being fed by the social media thing where you can do anything you want in your head, but the reality is very different. I think that there are enough humans who are exploring to love themselves more that humanity will continue. But I am also aware that there's a high probability that before we get to the point of moving ourselves more to love, there's a greater probability of humanity destroying as much of itself as it can. But I really do believe that there are those who will survive. And I'm only hoping that if they survive, they don't survive out of fear, but that they survive out of love for themselves.
Do you think humanity has ever reached this level in the past? Because you've talked about evolutions of cycles that we probably have forgotten about, right? You've talked about,
Yes.
yeah, the channels have talked about this, but yeah, do you think that we've reached a level that we've never have done in the past?
Technologically, no. I think there has been technology in the past. It's different technology. Certainly, the mechanical technology certainly has advanced. Okay. And I think that there is a certain level of consciousness I honestly believe, part of me really believes that those who were conscious in other cycles are conscious, awakening up again in this cycle. And I believe that there's an effort to change the human consciousness again. I guess there's my own self-judgment, my own personal self-judgments. There's a fatalistic aspect inside my judgments that sits there and says, I'm not seeing a lot of humanity being able to survive. I mean, let's face it, those who hate, those who judge, those who are fearful, they all want to go ahead and kill anybody who's, happy, jovial, and, wants to just love. Go back to the 60s. Remember I lived through the 60s, okay? Jeez. Yeah, okay, anyhow. We're giving away my age here. But, basically, the whole hippie movement and everything else was all about love and everything. But it wasn't all about love. There was a lot of fear, judgment, and guilt in that. But there was a real push to move away from the fear of war and famine and all of that stuff. And yeah, things have been progressing really well. But then in the last, 3 to 5 years, all of a sudden, the fearful people have taken over. I see what's going on in the United States, with the politics. And it's like, wow, I'm amazed that Americans as a whole, are willing to allow this, because I've always really truly believed that Americans as a whole wanted to grow and advance. But what it's showing me is that there's a group of them who are so afraid they don't want to, and they've taken control, they've taken power, and everybody else is letting them.
Well, let's just touch upon that then. Do you think that represents the humanity's soul in a sense?
Yes.
Is a soul is a new type of soul, that we're still a young soul. Are there other souls out there in the multiverse, the universe, that maybe are of an older lineage?
You're describing the judgment of the souls. There's no such thing as a young soul or an old soul, even though we like to describe that as a young soul or an old soul based on how people perceive reality. But really, in actual fact, there's only one essence. So it's not young or old. It's a question of how much of us individuals, how much are we willing to allow? Is there, every one of us has that essence of experience in us, but most of us don't tap into it. We're not wanting to.
Would you believe the idea that, or what do you feel about the idea that, okay, so you express the, the way that some politicians are acting in a sense. Do you think that the soul before it incarnated knew of the potential of what it could do?
You're looking at it from the mind's ego personality perspective. Kevin, look, a soul incarnates with a perspective of experiencing existence. There are limitless possibilities. You can't describe the possibilities of third dimensional reality.
Are they chosen, do you think?
To experience.
Are they chosen before the soul comes into that experience? Do you think the soul choose?
I think personally that there's, I don't think that they're actually specifically chosen. I'm going to experience this or I'm going to experience that. No, I think there's the possibilities. So the essence is only looking at a probability of experience, not the actuality of it. So, but we as ego personalities, once we're created, we want to know the actuality. We want the nitty gritty. We want the definition. We want everything to be spelled out and done and controlled. And, we want to know with absolute certainty, this is what we're going to do. Whereas Soul doesn't care.
What do the wonders say about the idea that, soul groups, we've been with the same family before, maybe in other experiences?
I agree. We have experiences. The wonders have talked about the individual consciousness, the group consciousness, the collective consciousness, and then the oneness as the progressions in consciousness. Yeah, I agree with that in the sense that there is, reincarnation on the basis of commonality. We all have experiences of that. I have plenty of past life experiences in regards to some of this stuff. Having said that, I think we put way too much emphasis, especially in the New Age movement, way too much emphasis on the idea that we are reincarnating in a group or whatever. A lot of that is just, excuse my language, it's crap to justify our fears and judgments and not choosing right now.
No, that's fine. I like that answer. Yeah, okay. But okay, what about some of the people out there that have put the ideas across? Maybe let's mention one name, David Icke, and many others as well. That the idea that this insanity that goes on this planet sometimes, that that most people do not seem to want, if you ask the average person, right? Is there something darker that's trying to control an agenda?
No. The darkness is in our minds. It's not, see, you're thinking and you're talking in terms of something outside of you taking over so that you can be the perfect victim for the rest of your life. David Icke, I'm sorry, all of these people are always talking about, I know you're laughing, but it's true. They always talk about all this stuff coming because you can't control. It's something coming at you, something outside of you. What a perfect line of bullshit to basically say you are not self-responsible. If humans only understood from the moment they're born, they are self-responsible. And then they started behaving with the belief that they are self-responsible and self-creators, then we would see a different type of humanity. But until we get away from our victimization, our idea of victimization, we will never really, truly learn that it is our choice to create or to destroy. And if we allow our minds to control our lives, our minds to decide what we do or what we don't do, then we are allowing our minds to be the creators of our destruction or our expansion.
Yeah, but then what is causing some of these leaders to behave in such just terrible ways towards their people? I mean, you're shaking. I'm saying I wouldn't do it if I was in that position. Hopefully not.
Maybe you would. You don't know, okay? Because a lot of these people, of course, look, you can use all of the words you want. Greed, envy, need, desire. It doesn't matter. What it is some people like to take advantage of others. But somebody, they say, what was the old saying? It takes a good person to stand up and say no more for the world to stop. Okay. We need to practice this ourselves. We need to practice it inside of ourselves. And I know this is a strong message, and I've been saying the same thing through this whole interview. But the message is, if you can't say it to yourself, how can you say it to anybody else? If you believe, without any doubt whatsoever, that you are being subjected to circumstances or situations or energy or whatever that is in some way, shape, or form helping you or harming you, either way, then you are defining yourself as subject to something outside of yourself, and that is a definition of a victim.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I'd have to think about that. Absolutely. But it does feel right what you're saying. I will say that. but there's a lot to unpack there is maybe what I'm trying to say. There's a lot to
I
unpack
understand. Listen, I'm living this way. I refuse to be a victim. So when something happens, what was it? I had an incident just today where I was literally just panicking and just angry and frustrated. And I just felt like, and I went, why am I doing this? Because I was blaming, Then I stopped for a minute and I said, mind, you're playing the game that is coming at me. No, I'm the chooser of my own existence. I define my existence. So mind, we are changing. You will change immediately the perspectives and start to realize that what's coming at you and what's coming at me is love in a different form. And that changed everything. Right in that moment, everything shifted. So that's the difference between being a victim and being a chooser. And I firmly believe, because of the wonders and because of everything that they've taught me over the years, that I am a chooser.
Yeah, I would like to be able to come from that space as well more. I think that's a great space to be as a chooser. Would you say, I mean, obviously that's one of your favorite sort of, I would think, teachings of the wonders. What are some of your other favorite teachings of the wonders as well that's really helped you and others?
God.
I can imagine there's a lot, but
well, think of the 10,000 possible recordings.
I know. Is there just some that pull to you that you think that that's a key one?
No, just the strongest one is choosing. Choose. Okay, a saying, and this is a really good saying. Okay, learn to say no, know when to say yes, and use the words I choose. Okay, those three things. If you live your life from that, you will learn what it is to say no, and you will know when to say yes, and you will always realize you choose. And that changes your whole life.
And Renny, just before you go here, just remind us again, what do you believe we are all here for?
To experience everything, to experience all of existence. And yes, sometimes existence sucks, as we call existence, because we're in a society, we're in drama. Let's face it, life is drama. It's like looking at a play and we're so absorbed in it, we think it's real. But in the meantime, we're just a member of the audience looking at the play. Okay? Life is drama, and God knows we've got many ways to get drama. Distance yourself from the drama, pull yourself back and realize that it's just bullshit drama created by our minds to entertain themselves, and that the real essence is what's inside of us, the person we are, and that has to be what we live from.
Right. And I know I'm keeping you here just a little bit, but this idea for some of us that, well, I must do something to help people. What I'm going to do, it must help people. I'm here to help. And it all sounds great, but no, you would say no.
Yeah. Don't do it because you want to help people. Do it because you want to help yourself. You want to explore. You want to uncover. Do it for yourself. Do it for your passion. Do it for your desire to grow. Do it for yourself, not for others. Because if you do it for others, you'll fail.
Right. And that's also, just we add this to it as well. And that's, don't be doing anything that's not really going to harm anyone. We're not saying that, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, we're saying you're going to fail because if the direction of everything you do is to point at others, you are not loving yourself. And if you don't love yourself, you're going to empty your cup, and eventually you will quite simply fail because there's not enough of love inside of you left. You can give and give. There's a lot of people that have, you look at a lot of people in history who have given to others, okay, all the time. But eventually what happens is, yes, they live absolutely admirable lives that everybody says, oh, put them on this pedestal. They're such a giver, yada, yada, yada. Why? Because nobody else wants to do the same thing for themselves. They would rather take from that person than to give to themselves. one of the things that I really do work with people on is, no, love yourself. Quit looking at somebody else to fill your cup. Love yourself. Fill your own cup. And then if you want to share with the excess with others, by all means, but fill your cup first.
But most times when you do that, when you do fill your cup first, actually what you do, which you enjoy, if you're just thinking about yourself, actually there is a knock-on effect of it actually helping others in a funny way.
That's the excess. Okay. Remember I said to you, I took some time last year and I'm taking time this year for myself. My cup, the wonders say to us, see yourself as a cup, and that which fills the cup is love. If you're half full, the most you can ever do is half fill another cup. If you're full, the most you'll ever do is fill one other cup. Fill yourself to overflowing so that the overflow fill all the other cups around you. I've said this to you in the last interview we had. Okay. It's what I'm realized is I was living from taking from me instead of from my excess. So I had to re-energize myself, change my psychologies, change my interactions, become the person that I am looking to become now, one that actually fills from the overflow. I did that for a lot of years, but then I lost sight of it and started draining myself.
Thank you for sharing that really important message as well. Renny, your website is?
Wonders, www.thewonders.com. The Wonders is all one word, THEWONDERS.
And there's a lot of stuff on there as well that people can sign up to.
Yeah, and we have a store. There's linked into a store. And as I said, in the store, there's about 3,000 items, which covers about 10,000 recordings.
That's incredible that you've done that much as well.
Look, it's a library of information for all of humanity to enjoy. There's something for everybody there.
Well, Renny and Maggie as well, which I know is in the background, that helped us to arrange this interview as well, and anyone else there. Just thank you so much for the help that you've done to come on today, that you've given me and many others, and for the work that you're doing. And I wish you all the best with what you're doing as well.
Same to you, Kevin. Take care. Be good on your next journey.